Hey guys, welcome back to this channel. It's been a while since I last posted as I was a little bit busy these few days. But nevertheless, I'm back with another video. So for those of you chess fans that have been following the last round of the 2018 Chess Olympiad, I'm sure you are aware of the game between Nepomniachtchi and Bacrot. It was quite an amazing game from Nepomniachtchi, and with that result, he managed to help the Russians to finish third in the standings. Well, they actually managed to tie for first in terms of match points, but after the tie breaks, unfortunately, they finished third. But nevertheless, still a good result for the Russians. So in this game, Nepomniachtchi with the white pieces, Bacrot with black. So let's see how it goes. Nepo opens with knight to f3, the ready opening. We have d5, e3, knight f6, c4. White challenges black's central pawn on d5, e6, and here d4 would transpose to the queen's gambit decline, but Nepo goes for knight to c3. We have bishop to e7. Black develops this bishop while preparing to castle kingside. Here bishop d6 also possible, but moves like knight b5 could be annoying for this bishop in the future. So bishop e7. We have b3, Nepo is preparing to play bishop to b2, fianchettoing the bishop. Black castles, bishop b2. We have c5 from black, gaining more space in the center. And here something like d4 is playable. White also gains more space in the center, but this does open up the e1, a5 diagonal. And black can play, after c takes d4, knight takes d4, he can play queen to a5. With moves like knight to e4 and bishop b4 coming. So black is quite active in this position. So after c5, we have c takes d5, here knight takes d5, and Nepo plays h4 in this position, immediately trying to go at black's king. b6 from Bacrot. So with ideas of bishop b7, we have queen to b1. So the queen controls this square in case of ideas like knight b4, but it also looks at h7 with moves like bishop to d3 coming for white. White is also threatening to play knight to g5 in this position, therefore black goes h6, stopping that. But Nepo plays g4, threatening to go g5, and bishop b7 from Bacrot, lining up this bishop with the rook on h1. Rook to h3 from Nepo, stepping out of the line of fire, and also with ideas of maybe rook g3 supporting g5. We have knight to d7 from black, bringing another piece into the game, and here g5 from Nepo. So he's not wasting time at all. If white goes for a move like a3, a slow move with the idea of stopping knight to b4 and playing bishop d3, and then here black can play knight takes c3, and after bishop takes c3, he can go bishop f6, trading off another attacking piece of white's. So g4 is very straightforward and effective. Here black goes h5, trying to close down the position, but this pawn could become a weakness at some point. And black doesn't, if possible, he doesn't want to go g6 because that would just weaken all the dark squares around black's king. So here bishop d3 from Nepomniachtchi. If given the chance, white would want to go knight to e4 and knight to g3 and try to win this pawn on h5. Knight b4 from Bacrot, so he's trying to get rid of this strong light square bishop of white. But bishop h7 check from Nepomniachtchi. King h8, the only move, and bishop to e4. So if that is taken, this only helps white because after knight takes e4, white is one step closer to playing knight to g3. So here it is interesting to note that after bishop takes e4, if queen takes e4, this looks like a nice position for white, but black has a very nice resource in the move c4. So this pawn now controls the d3 square, so black is getting ready to play knight to d3. And if you take the pawn with the queen, then knight c2 wins material. And if your pawn takes c4, then now since the pawn has moved, the square is available for the other knight, knight to c5. and black is simply threatening to play one of the knights into d3 with check, and this would fork the bishop and the king. So here after bishop e4, capturing the bishop would be bad, so the ideal move for black in this position is queen to c8, defending this bishop, preparing to meet bishop takes b7 with queen takes b7, and the queen on b7 controls the light squares quite well. So it can also come to a6, and if white is not careful in this position, if for example he plays knight e4, try to go knight g3, then here queen to a6 is very strong, just threatening to play knight d3. And also king to f1 is impossible now because the square is protected by the black queen. And if king d1, then well, simply queen f1 with check, and also picking up this rook. But instead of this, we have knight to d5 from Bacrot. Nepomniachtchi plays knight to e2. White is preparing to go knight g3, and here Bacrot lashes out with f5. And this is an inaccuracy which Nepomniachtchi takes advantage of quite well. First, he goes g takes f6, knight 7 takes f6, and the point is that now the g5 square is available for the white knight on f3. Knight g5 from Nepomniachtchi, so threatening the pawn on e6. And if that is defended, for example queen d7, then bishop takes d5 wins for white. Here, black cannot go knight takes d5 because queen h7 is checkmate. So after bishop takes d5, we have bishop takes d5, and here white wins after bishop takes f6, removing the defender of h7. So after knight g5, we have knight takes e4, queen takes e4, so now mate is threatened on h7, and also knight takes e6 is threatened by white. So therefore bishop takes g5, we have h takes g5, so now rook takes h5 is threatened, and if black plays queen takes g5, then after a move like knight g3, white is preparing to capture on h5, and this is good for white. If knight to f4, then simply which opens up an attack on this queen, then simply pawn takes knight. This also attacks the black queen, and white is winning. So here Bacrot tries knight to f4. We have queen takes b7, so now mate is threatened on g7, so knight takes h3 would be a bad idea. So here knight to d3 from Bacrot, king to f1, knight takes b2, and here rook takes h5 from Nepomniachtchi. King g8 is the only move, and in this position Nepomniachtchi played the move g6, and it was in this position that Bacrot resigned the game. So the white pawn now controls these crucial squares. White wants to play rook h8 check, for example if a5, then rook h8, then you go queen h1, followed by queen to h7. And this is quite a well-known checkmating idea, sacrificing a rook if you have a pawn on g6 to eventually deliver mate with the queen on h7. So here after g6, if you play for example rook f6, trying to eliminate this pawn, then queen to h1 still wins, threatening to play this, and black is going to lose at least a queen. King f7 is impossible because this pawn guards the f7 square. So here if black tries queen to f6, trying to eliminate this pawn on g6, again the idea rook to h8 wins after king h8. This is simply forced checkmate. So a very entertaining game from Nepomniachtchi. I sure hope you enjoyed that game. I certainly did. And if you enjoyed it, please subscribe for more future content. Thank you for watching and have a great day.